Welcome back, everybody, to the Chevelle Th400 Garage channel. As you can see, it's fucking nice out. Fucked up March weather. But I'm going to, I gotta get this truck to run, the 84 C10, to get my Chevelle out. I'm going to put it in the garage down here this week to start the transmission swap. So, I'm going to get this underway. I got this stuff in. I need to put more screws in that fascia right there, the gauge cover. Put the bottom on that. Get that in here. And that's the most complete I've seen it in a long time. Starting to look like a truck again. I'm going to get the steering wheel on, obviously. And charging the battery. The Chevelle right now. I'm going to use that battery to start this. If there's enough gas, I may have to go up there to the gas station and get gas and dump in this thing so it'll run. Because I don't want to risk it not running and running out like in the middle of the road or something. And then I'll be shit out of luck. So, but this is just a piss poor drab thing. This is out of the parts truck I bought. I like it because it has this aluminum look to it. And so far everything's kind of stiff bolted in here. And a new wiper switch. I think there's something going on in this column here, I think, for the wiper switch. The turn signal switch works. There's nothing wrong with it. And this, all you gotta do is just yank on it and it comes right off. Which is, I think it's kind of clever. I think it's pretty fucking awesome because, you know, they usually don't do stuff like that today. Everything's a complicated fucking fiasco when you get to take shit apart or put things back together. So, I'm going to try to button this up, get this fuck back together. Get some of the garbage cleaned out of the bed here. This is all garbage. It's all trash. That old dash cover, it ain't worth a fuck. It's still okay, but it's broke. I decided just to pull all the vinyl off this, and I ran a grinder over it, got all the foam and stuff off, and I went ahead and painted it. This truck's going to be several different shades of blue, as you can see. I did the rockers and cab corners. More blue. And that's starting to rust up right there already. I'm going to have to tack on that, maybe. Maybe smear some juice on there. Smear some of that caulking. Caulking. They call caulking, not caulk. It's not called caulk. But it is funny to joke about that, though. It's fucking hilarious. But anyhow, we're going to get this going here and keep y'all updated. My dad, since he's retired, it's probably going to happen maybe Friday night, something like that. Friday evening, because I don't work Saturday. I'm off. So I'll probably get here Friday evening with my groceries and get that shit put away. And then we'll go over and we'll start on that and get them swapped. I'd like to get at least on the lift and get the other one started to pull. And I got shift kit, seals, and I'm waiting on a pan. I ordered a brand new transmission pan, aluminum one. It's got full cooling fins and a drain plug on it. I'm going to put that in there. So then we're going to put all that shit together, put that son of a bitch in there, and then it'll be ready for when summertime comes. And then I'll really get to go out there and test on it to make sure that everything's going to work. I have to make sure and not fuck this up. I have a new dipstick and everything. Everything has new O-rings, seals, gaskets, cooler lines. Everything should be right where it should be. Everything should be ready to go, and I should have. I'm going to take the governor out of this Turbo 400 and put it in the other one because I got the weights ground down on that one. I guess it don't matter. I could probably grind the weights down on the other one too that's in the new transmission because they have a stupid governor in there. It goes off 5,000 RPMs. It shifts no matter what. If 5 grand, if you have her down on the column or down in low 1 to shift it, it will shift at 5,000 no matter what. And it'll be a violent shift. The old Turbo 400s, they're beefed up from the factory, so they have a pretty stout shift to start with. So, plus I got a bunch of road signs and license plates onto the floor of this thing. I'll probably clean that rust up. I'll get some of that rust, that spray you spray on there to turn it into like a magnesium or whatever, and then it'll turn black. And then you can just paint right over it. So, but I got to clean it up in here first. It'll have to be cleaned up real good. And all that shit. Plus, it still had... This truck's so original that it still has the jack from under the hood in it. Well, that's the part you use to put in the jack to jack it up with. So, that's pretty cool. But anyway, I'm going to get finished on this. Get it going. I got... All my evenings here are tight because I work 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, and every other Saturday, which is only like 6-hour Saturdays, which is fine. I need the money. So I like the overtime. The overtime's fine. I don't have a problem with the overtime. It's just if, the guy you're working for wants to keep you on overtime, and keep paying you, it's crazy shit. Some places don't like to pay overtime, so. And without overtime, I probably wouldn't be able to afford to do all this shit that I do. So, with that being said, I'm going to get this going. And everybody, have a good one. And I might attach another video to this one. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see what happens. So. And here we go. We got parts. We got stall converter. We got transmission pan. We've got pressure lines, seals, and a new dipstick. Just waiting on the filter kit. Oh yeah. Don't want to forget this. This is one of the most important parts. Right here. Fucking shift kit. Yes, sir. Get this fucking show on the road here. Get this shit swapped the fuck out. Be cruising in no time. Yes, sir. Yeah, baby. Hey. There we are. That pan's aluminum. It's got the fins, the cooling fins on it, which doesn't make sense because you would think that they would have been up in here too. You'd see them to really be effective. So that's a crock of shit. That's more or less for looks, I guess. But then you're not going to see it all the time because who crawls underneath your fucking car and stares at it? Nobody that I know of. But anyhow, gotta get this C10 out here going. The battery. The battery charged up. I'm gonna have to take it out of this and put it in the C10 to get it to start. So there we are. We are just about ready for the transition here. I'm not sure how much gas is in that truck out there. There's a whole lot. I may have to open up the race fuel and dump a couple gallon in there. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I know I don't have any gasoline here. I think all I have here is, I had gasoline in this can. I had it in that one, and I have it in this one. That's kerosene. So yeah, we're out of gas. I don't know how much is in that damn truck, but I guess we'll figure it out. So, I guess we'll see if it'll move. I might just pour 2 quarts of transmission fluid in the son of a bitch anyhow, just to be safe. I'm gonna go out here, do that, clean up my fucking tools I got laying in there, and we'll get this show on the road. Here we go. We'll fire up and see if she'll move. Get her down to the garage here. Get her inside. The old 84 fired up relatively easy. So yeah. Oh boy. It's been a while. To life. See if she moves. My friend back here is excited. Sounds pretty bad. Oh, it's moving. Smoking pretty good too. Wow, this engine's still smoking. It's a PCV valve, it might be bad. All right. She's in here next to the judge. There, finally got her in here. Smell antifreeze. Maybe that shitty temperature gauge. I think it's wore out. I think. It's not really keeping the right temperature anymore either. Should have had this thing over here further. Oh well. I guess it's okay here. I was hoping it would move. I guess that Turbo 400 isn't as bad as what I thought it was. But here's the new one. Right there. There it is. Get my keys. There we go. See if I can get them out of there. All right, everybody, got her in the garage here. I'm gonna set up the lift tonight. It's kind of late in the evening. Well, it's after 5. I'm gonna go ahead and set it up on the lift. It is kind of. God damn. I don't want no copyright claims on my shit. Turn this fucking radio off. Wow. Nothing like a song you don't fucking like setting off a copyright claim on YouTube, because I'm not allowed to play that shit on my videos. You gotta play music that they'll approve, which I don't know what the fuck that is. I never looked into it. But anyhow, we got all the parts here, and we're going to set her up on the lift. And we're going to see where this takes us. So, I don't know what that noise is outside. Somebody's four-wheeler, maybe? Fuck if I know. It's not important. All right, everyone. Hello, everybody. Here we are. Drive shafts out. Take a bird's eye view of the underneath here, of the under the deck. My 3-inch tailpipes. My Super 10s. My glass packs up front. Here are the old The old Turbo 400. The old beat Turbo 400. A leaking fluid everywhere. What it did leak out doesn't look that bad, but it's bad, trust me. It's by the way it drives and how awful it shifts. There's my governor up here. I'm going to take out and swap with the other one. But yeah. My dad helping me with this project. I take his lines off yet. I'm gonna swap the starter out too while I'm under here. I got a high torque starter. He got the flex plate bolts out too. Looks like he did a lot of this stuff while I was at work today. So yeah. So here we are. Here's my fuel pump. Cheap ass fucking fuel pump. But yeah. How fucking far do I gotta turn that goddamn radio down? I don't need that. What I tell you. Feeling kind of nostalgic tonight. Clean my damn lens off here a little bit. There we go. Had that soft Fujifilm look, didn't it? Me and this old car here have been through a lot. This car is my baby. It's a good car. I tell you, one time there used to be a shitload of these cars around here. Used to be a shit pile of Chevelles. And of course, everything is backwards. But yeah, there used to be a shitload of these fucking cars here. And collectors and idiots alike have bought them up to just make their pockets fatter. Selling them and getting big bucks out of them. As long as I breathe, this car will not leave me. So, there's going to be more of this tomorrow. We're going to get at it here early in the morning. I'm going to get the lines off. And going to get all this stuff underway. Because I got the lines to take off yet. I have, like I said, brand new lines. Let's see here. I put rubber line on it for now, which does work. It's fuel line, is all it is. It's just 3/8 fuel line, rubber fuel hose. As long as you secure it and you got good clamps on it, they don't leak. So yeah, I'm real grateful for my dad pitching in and hitting this. And this car, this is next to go on the lift. I'm going to pull the engine out of this old girl because she is low compression right now. It's supposed to have, I forget how much the compression per cylinder is supposed to be. It's well into the hundreds is what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be 11.5 to 1 compression ratio in this engine, this 400 Mark III Ram Air. But it was only shown, some of the cylinders were 90. We had one or two that was 100. And we had one that was pretty low at like 80 couple. So, yeah, that's going to get an overhaul. But we finished putting this thing together back in the early 2000s. So in this 2023, I think we had it this thing on the road back in, oh boy, I'm thinking, to tell you the truth, I can't remember. I'm thinking 06, 07. That's what I'm thinking. I can't remember. I'd have to look back into some of my old videos and, fetch out that information and see. But anyway, we're focusing on the old heavy Chevy here. And I know some of you people out there shit your pants because I put fucking heavy Chevy stickers on it. Because you know what? I'll tell you this right now. I always wanted a heavy Chevy. And couldn't find one. Well, I found some, but nobody wanted to sell them at the time. I don't know why, because they really didn't know what the fuck they had. It's one of those deals where you see it in somebody's yard, and then right away they're going to fix it up. Because you got an infant in a fucking cradle. Oh, I'm fixing up for my son when he turns 16. And it's sitting out there in the yard rotting away as they speak. They won't sell it. And then a couple days later, you drive past their house, the fucking car's gone. And there's a bare spot in their yard. And it's like, God damn it. Why didn't you fucking let me buy it? Do something with it. That's the trouble with people around here. They don't want to see you do anything with anything. But anyhow, this car is ultimately my favorite of the cars that I have. It is my third automobile I ever had. I did have a yellow Chevelle, which means my dad fixed up and he ended up giving it to me. It's long gone. It was in a garage fire from the person I sold it to, and then it changed hands again, and it changed hands again, and then some shit went down. It was in a garage that caught on fire, burned up. And I bought a Chevy Monza 75 Spider. 2+2, you heard me run my lips about it in another video. As you can see, this is from the burnout from in the garage up there that I had. Here's a little bit of mud dust smeared on there to smooth up some of the sheet metal, and I didn't get it all the way off there. But nobody cares. That's okay, because these are quarter panels I put on eons ago. But anyhow, this bastard will live to cruise another day. And it will be cruising this summer. But yeah, I'm feeling a little nostalgic tonight. I was sitting around in my house thinking about it, and I thought, I'm going to come down and take a look and see exactly what he did today. I'm going to attack it in the morning. I'm going to get up bright and early, come back, and I'm going to hit it hard, get it down out of there. I got the transmission jack. I got the screw jack. I'm going to have to put that screw jack up against my oil pan because I don't want my distributor meeting its fate already against the firewall, because 700 pounds will tear the hell out of a plastic distributor cap like no other. And, yeah, it's the original gas tank. Dents and all. I'm telling you, I don't know what the fuck these people that had this car before me, I don't know what the fuck they did with it. And this frame was bent back here, runs across here, because I had to replace this, and I had to bend this back. I used a floor jack on the way to the car and a sledgehammer. I beat the son of a bitch back into shape. This quarter was smashed up in from the bottom here, smashed clear up in, had a big dent here. This quarter over here was replaced with a homemade quarter panel. The original owner, I guess he was a prison guard, I guess, at a maximum security prison in southern West Virginia. Don't know exactly where. I have to talk to the guy I bought this car off of, because he never tagged it. He never titled it. It had a West Virginia title. And, of course, I titled and tagged it Maryland when I bought it. He was going to fix it up for his wife, and she didn't want it. She wanted the real deal Super Sport. So he found one and was fixing it up for his wife. And they sold me this one. But the guy, the original owner, had the West Virginia maximum security state penitentiary do the body work and paint on this car at one time. They made a quarter panel for this side, made one out of tin. It went clear up past the body crease in the middle. It was pop riveted, clear down to the rocker, and clear to the back bumper. They pop riveted it, like right here. It was pop riveted, like just right in here, because they had the original stuff on there. But anyhow, they did a hell of a job, because I didn't even know it was there. And when I get to, my drive shaft around there, I didn't know it was there until I started, there was 2 holes here in the bottom. There was a hole here and a hole here. It ate through, and I got a grinder out and I started grinding and grinding and grinding, and I found so much mud. There was so much putty in this thing. It was probably a 1/4 inch thick, I would say, from the door to the bumper, below the quarter glass window, clear to the rocker. Those fellas reshaped that metal into a quarter panel for this car, and they did one hell of a job. Back then, I don't know what year it was. I'm thinking it was probably back in the 80s, I would say they did it. There was no build sheet in this car. When I tore the interior out, I looked for a build sheet. Did not find one. The original owner probably had it. If he's alive still, he probably has it or threw it away. I would say he probably threw it away. But anyhow, there's your little tidbit of history. Just feeling a little nostalgic. I just can't express the fun and excitement this car has brought me over the years. And now the car, it doesn't fly. It's not up to what they fucking Hellcat standards of today. I'm sorry, but it's not going to outrun a fucking Hellcat. It's not. I got a lot of hair on my shirt from my damn beard and stuff. But anyhow, everybody, this car is not by any means faster than a fucking Hellcat. Sorry to let everybody down. I can't help it. I only have so much money to make it run. I've raised a family. I'm still currently raising a family. And you got to spend your fucking money on people first. You can't just blow it all on a car. I can't do that. It's getting cold in here. I can see my breath. But anyway, I ain't gonna be here much longer. But yes, I had some adventures with this car. I haven't put a lot of miles on it since I've got it. I couldn't tell you what the mileage was on it, but it's over 100,000, I would say. It would have to be, seeing how it was put through all that bullshit back in the day. And, you know, it's went through its transformations. I painted it one other time. I painted it the same green. Well, I didn't paint it. I was actually at Carlisle at the Parts Flea Market getting some things for an old Chevy square body I used to have, an old 4-wheel drive. Me and my girlfriend at the time went, and we went down to Carlisle, got some parts. Or no, I'm sorry. Or wait a minute, let me think. Yes, it was me and my girlfriend at the time. We went down to Carlisle. We looked at the cars and stuff. I bought some parts for that truck. Bought a couple small things for the Chevelle here. And my dad and my brother-in-law, they were in the process of painting it. And it was damp and cold. It was like in the 60s here, and it was damp and rainy out. And I bought this paint. It was the Mist Green Metallic. That was the name of the paint. GM must have had train loads of this paint because they painted every fucking thing that color throughout the 60s and 70s. And it was called, it was a light green. It was a metallic. It was, when it's shiny, it's nice. But when it's dull, it looks like a baby shit all over it. So that's kind of what you're looking at. If you looked at one of my videos, I show old pictures of it in an album of what it used to look like. And it was this light green, this light ugly green. And they had painted it, and it had, this paint was DuPont paint. It was, I forget what kind of enamel it was, but it had clear coat mixed in it. It already had the clear in it. And the way it works is you spray it on, and as it sets, the clear coat rises to the top. Like cream in your coffee. Rises to the top. And then after you're done, then you lightly color sand it with like 1500 grit all over it. Then you buff it out, and it's supposed to shine. Now that was good paint for its time. It was very good paint if you knew how to spray it and you had the right conditions to spray it in. I've seen people put black on with this stuff, having the clear coat mixed in, and oh my God, was it ever fucking beautiful paint. If you know what you're doing, you can really make it look good. I don't think they make it anymore because it wasn't too durable. It fell off. Cars, it chipped real easy. But while it was on there, when it was in its infancy, it was really good. But they painted it while I was gone. And I got back, and they said, we had some troubles. Because I took plastic and covered the engine bay. And I didn't take the hood hinges off, but we took the hood and hung it up because I wanted to spray both sides of the hood. That's just how I like it. And apparently that plastic didn't hold the paint. When they went over for another coat, it blew that dry, flaky paint up in the air. He said it was like fucking snow in the garage and just fell all over it. I had chunks of fucking paint all over the motherfucker. And it was a disaster. So I did buff it the best I could. And I was like, well, I'm going to have to throw a driver quality paint job anyhow. It's no big deal. It looked exactly like it did, but it was just shinier and maybe a little bit dark, just a little bit darker than what it was. And I used the original green interior that was in it. It had a green bench seat, split back bench with the seat that's in the back now. I just painted it with vinyl dye. But anyhow, I had the original door panels, dash top, back panels, carpet, all that shit. It had the original carpet, and it was showing its fucking age. It was definitely original carpet. And it still has the original green seat belts. I dyed those too, but it didn't take. It never does take on that weird polyester seat belt shit. Can I please turn this motherfucker down? Because that song sucks. There we go. Don't want a copyright thing on my fucking video. YouTube, you fuckers. You fucking bastards. Anyway. Anyhow, the paint didn't turn out. Plus, my quarters where they went together, they started cracking. I didn't have them tight enough. I ended up chipping that filler away I had on the seams, and I re-welded those quarters. I even crawled in the trunk and welded those fuckers from the inside to keep them from vibrating, because when you drove it down the road, the car vibrated and everything. So it broke that stuff loose. And my dad, I left him borrowing my car for a little while. Because back then it still wasn't thought of as a collector thing. It was still something that people didn't fucking want. Which was, the I don't know, 2000. Let me think here. No, it would probably be 1999. It's probably when it 98, 99, something like that. Maybe 2000. Maybe year 2000, I'm thinking. Left him running around a little bit. Because he didn't have nothing to run. All his shit was broke down, and he was working to get money to fix his stuff so he could run it. And then when he let me have the car back, it had got considerably worse on them spots. So I went ahead and stripped it all back. I was very disgusted of what I'd done. I was trying to recapture those times when I had first got the car, and I had a fucking blast driving it. I had a different set of rears in it back in the day when I got the car. It had a 10-bolt in it, and it was all chewed up inside, and I didn't think it was going to last. It ran quite well. It had a different setup in it back then. Actually, the engine I tore out of it was the one that was in it, and I drag raced the shit out of. And it's the one I'm going to rebuild and put in the 71 Blue Beast in the other garage. But I was trying to recapture that part of my life, and it just wasn't happening. I had the rear ends out of, because the GTO was in pieces at the time. It was frame off. We were currently doing restoration. We tore this car apart back in 1987, and it was sitting up in the other garage, my garage. Of course, it wasn't my garage then. This garage wasn't here. This was the yard. And that was the only garage we had, was the one that I use right now that has my shit in it. This car, the body set above the frame on, we had 4x4s and concrete blocks holding the body up. And all the parts were scattered everywhere throughout the fucking garage up there. So, and we had the frame painted. My dad sandblasted, fixed and painted the frame. There was one little hole in the frame. We fixed it. It's where a body mount goes. They eat out there sometimes. If I'm not mistaken, mine's probably ate the fuck out right there on top, but I can't see it because I'm not going to take it off the frame ever. So anyway, it sat up there for a long time, and we looked around for a rear end. We bought one in Morgantown. It was a 390 Posi. It was a 10-bolt also. And at the time, I didn't know jack shit. So I was like, let's take the guts out of this rear end. It was out of a Camaro that we bought it was like $200. This was professionally set up Richmond gearing, Posi carrier. It was a GM Posi carrier. It was a ring gear and pinion of Richmond. And it had all new bearings and seals in it. Very nice rear. The housing of the rear itself looked like fuck. It was all different colors and shit. Like it laid around in a paint shop and got paint all over it. We tore the guts out of it and tried to fit them in the 10-bolt that was in the Chevelle currently, and they would not fit because they were a different inch. I'm not sure what for inch the one in Chevelle was, and I didn't know what the one from the Camaro was. But you order parts for a rear end, when you tear it apart, an old rear axle, when you tear it apart, you have to measure the ring gear. That is the measurement that they go by when you order seals, bearings, anything. Crush collar, shims, you name it. Well, probably not the shims, but the crush collar and the bearings, yes, and the seals. They definitely need to know the inch of that ring gear from one side to the next. Tape measure. I don't know what it was, but we end up selling that rear. I was thinking about taking the setup to Marshall Ruby's down here in Frostburg. They do work like that. They can weld. They can make drive shafts. They can weld perches and stuff on rear ends of cars. I was thinking about taking the rear out of the Chevelle and taking both of them down to that machine shop and having the mounts cut off of the one that was in the Chevelle and put them on this Camaro rear. And I found out that it was going to cost me more money, way more money than I had in it. So I was like, fuck, I didn't have the money. I wasn't working at the time. I was a fucking kid. I was 19. Well, I was a man, but I was 19 years old. And I looked at my dad and I was like, what the fuck are we going to do? You know, this was like after I bought the car and we were going to set up some rear ends in it and take it to the drag strip. And it'd be its first time to Mason-Dixon Dragway in Hagerstown. So we got the idea of taking the rear end, the whole housing, out of this. So he did. And at the time, this car had a set of 433 Posi track rear ends in it. Very popular Pontiac rear end of the day was a 433. Very popular with Firebirds and Trans Ams. The GTOs, the Catalinas, the Bonnevilles, the GT37s, Le Mans GT37s. Also, you could get that rear. So, we took the whole housing out. I got a special universal at the auto parts store. They switched caps around, matched the caps up because they were two different sizes. We put the rear, the whole housing in here, and we bolted it up in, put the drive shaft on. My dad took it for a ride. He laid black marks from his house to mine. Oh, currently it wasn't my house at the time when we did that rear end. I was still living with my parents. He took that thing sideways up the fucking road. And he said, holy shit. He said, we are ready. So the weekend after, which was, what was it? It was Labor Day weekend. They used to have a thing down there at Mason-Dixon every year. They kind of rescheduled things, moved things around. They don't do it no more. But they had the Labor Day. Well, they still have the Labor Day Classic. But they had a test and tune on Saturday. That Saturday. So we waited. And I told Dad, I said, how are we getting the car down there? And he said, I'm going to follow you in my pickup. Which was the light blue GMC that I ended up with. We got in it. He got in his truck. He followed me down the interstate, down 68, and we get on 70. All the faster I could drive the car was 55, and that was pushing it with those 433s. Extremely low gear. I practiced with it all week to drag race it, and we took it down there. And in its best time, we only ran it 3 times. It was so full of other cars down there. You know, and we get down there kind of early, and they were finishing up. They wanted to finish up test and tune, and there was a race. There was a gambler's race after, and the woman at the gate, because you got to sign papers, you have to sign that they're not liable if you crash your car, shit like that, or if it catches on fire, they're not liable. And back then they didn't treat the track; it was just regular. It had just whatever rubber people laid down from their slicks. So the woman at the gate says, if you want your doors blowed off, boys, she says, stick around for the fucking gambler's race. She says, we'll take you out. Somebody there will beat your ass. And I was like, yeah, probably. So we went in there. We ran it down through there. First time we held it against the brake and run it up against the stall converter and took off. It spun. He left out of it a little bit because I didn't get to run it. My dad ran it. So I didn't get to run it. I was like, he really wanted to run it down through there. And I was like, I'm going to let him drive it. Because, you know, this is a bonding thing. And I had my camera with me, and I was taking pictures of other cars that were just fucking insane ground pounding cars. I was taking pictures of, and I took pictures of mine. At the second run, he come back into the staging lanes, and I went over to him and I said, I asked him what he did, and he told me. First run was a 1395, 100 and, he was like 102 miles an hour. And in the second run, I told him, I said, just mash on it. I said, dead stop, idle. I said, last yellow, mash on it. So that's what he did. That fucker took off, ass end, squatted on that baby. Went down through there, 1387. Second run. Third run, same deal. He left a little bit earlier. And plus we only had a quarter tank of gas. That's the way I planned on it. It's getting late, I could tell. What time is it? Oh my, it's like 20 to 11. But anyhow, the third run was a 1378. And it was like 98 miles an hour. So the 60-foot time was excellent. We're out of the hole, through there. He was letting off of it at the end. I think the son of a bitch could have been quicker with those rears if he'd have held into it. He's a big block guy. So, so he was thinking $5,000. That's all we ran it to. If he would have ran it to 65 or maybe 7, I think we could have achieved probably a really good low 13.0 or maybe even a 12.99 maybe. I've always been obsessed with trying to get this car into 12s. And I have not been successful. As I rebuilt the engine years ago, I put a great big cam in it. I kind of went overkill on it. Sure did sound good. And it ran good. I poured and polished the heads. It had iron 194 camel humps from a 327. That cam was great big that I put in it. I think it kind of hurt me a little bit because it took it back into the 14s. The mid 14s, actually. And my tires were too big on the back. I'd put 373. So I bought a rear end off of a guy down here in Cumberland. It was out of a 69 Chevelle. And I took it down. It had 331s in it from the factory, which was a hell of a change from 433. It had a factory set of 331s, and he gave me a ring gear and pinion, an original GM ring gear and pinion, 373. So I didn't have to do any guesswork with the shimming, because when GM shimmed these fucking rears, they were all shimmed the same. They the way they went in, it was 2 thick shims, one on each side, and your pinion depth was set. They were all the same, the 12 bolts. It was all the same. And GM did that for a reason, to get them off the assembly line quickly. So you didn't have to be there all day setting up rears. But anyhow, I put a 69 Chevelle 12 bolt in this. I put the 373s in it. Took it down there, ran it. I couldn't get the fuck out of the 14s with it. But my slicks were really tall. If you look back in my videos, you'll see when it was all primered up, I had a couple different... there was like green and gray and red primer all over the fucking thing. It was an old beater looking thing when I took it down there. But the only reason I had put it back on the road back then was because I had used it as collateral for a loan that I really had to have. I needed this loan. And I didn't have good enough credit back then. Story of my fucking life. But I had to use it as collateral. I had to put it up. And the only stimulation was they didn't take the title to the car. They took a copy of it. And I had to fully insure it and tag it. So it was on the road. And they came and looked at the garage. Kind of disappointed with that. They're like, this is where you keep it? I was like, yes, this is where it stays. It stays in here. This is where it goes. If you don't like that, I can't help it. I don't have nothing better. So, but I had lots of fun. Lots and lots of fun with it. And I was just hoping I could pass this fun on to one of my kids. But that is not what I'm anticipating now. Because, your kids can't be exactly like you. They're not all into cars like I am. I eat, shit, piss, fucking breathe, see cars. I am a fucking muscle car fanatic. That's why I will never buy into that electric shit. Ever. But anyhow, everybody, we're getting underway to do a transmission swap. We'll get it all in tomorrow, probably. I need to put the shift kit in the transmission yet. And I need to get it up here on the workbench so I can drain the excess fluid out if there is any. The guy I bought this off of claims that he had this thing rebuilt a while back. Plus he gave me a yoke, and I have an extra yoke now, so just in case. And it was in a Chevy square body, an old flatbed he used. That's what I got. I could be wrong about the flatbed part, but it was in a square body Chevy truck. It's the same length as the Turbo 400 that's coming out. So I don't have to change any tail shafts or anything. All I have to do is put my seals in, put my new pan on, put my shift kit in it, swap my, my governor. I'm going to use my old modulator, I guess. We'll do that. And we'll get her in there. All the bolts this time. Plus my stall converter, it's got threaded nuts already in it. And my flex plate up there has 2 different bolt patterns on it. So we're good. We're good with that. So everyone, wish me luck in this fucking journey of the final part of the drivetrain that's getting replaced a second time. I may take it to the strip one more time and run her. I mean, a lot of people look on that and think that's quite remarkable because, you take this to the drag strip and run it, beat on it. Especially the first time I drove it down there. We drove her down, we beat on her, we drove it back home, and it took every bit of it. Very, very reliable. If y'all sit around and slur these old small block Chevys, let me tell you something. The vehicle you're driving right now is based on that small Chevy. And the small Chevy, believe it or not, is based on the old flathead Ford. Because when Chevy broke the mold in 1955 with the new small block valve in head engine, then everybody followed. So if you want to know that history, look it up. I'm not full of fucking shit. I'm telling you what I fucking know. And long live the Chevy small block. That's all I have for now. I'm going to have to edit all this shit and put it together. And I'm going to post this. This will be part 1. I'll make part 2. We'll have it in. We'll be test on it hopefully on Sunday if it's nice. If it is not nice on Sunday, I'm just going to take it up there and park it. And then I will have to test on it another time. It's the crazy month of March. We're going into April soon. Next week is the last week of March, thank fucking God. And we will have decent kind of Marchy type weather for April. I've seen it snow at the end of April. I've seen it snow on May 1st. So we're going to see what happens. And hopefully all this rain chases the snow away and washes all the salt off the road so I can take this up and test it out. I'm going to test it and see how she does and just make sure we got all the gears. It should. He said he didn't have the transmission very long in anything, and he took it out and parted the truck out. So this is one of the parts. And here we are. So everybody, good night. And this is the end of part 1 for the transmission swap. I'm going to have this one out and the other one in tomorrow. Just got to get my ass out of bed. I'm going to go up and get my ass to bed so I can wake up early and get this all started, get it done, get it out of here for the judge. So, everybody, have a good one. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I shall return.